You sit down for Genesys, face full of delight. Then you start acting pissed when my forest is white. This oppression must end. Mid-range can't be the top. How dare a white boy play some combo slop? This is so stupid. No one's gonna get this. This is fucking dumb. Good afternoon, Genesys gamers. I'm MBT, and this is 100-point playtesting. Listen, they aren't going to be able to release Blazing Dominion without an adjustment, or Genesys is just going to become completely unplayable. So let's take this opportunity to have one last look at a deck we never really gave a fair shake. Presenting White Forest. So here's the list, adapted by Scarlon from a top 16 deck at the UK Open. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Looking for a place to find inspiration for Genesys decks? Well, look no further. I've already spent years telling you about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the best repository of deck lists, strategy articles, third-party assistance with alternate ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and card collection management on the internet. But right now, it's also the best way to find Genesys lists. You can sort by deck type, filter high-level tournaments to see what's been working, and download decks you see in any format you desire. That's why I'm proud to be sponsored by www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's walk into the White Forest. White Forest is a combo deck that weaves through a billion synchro monsters, which seems perfect for a format with less link slop. Unfortunately, White Forest is one of the most highly pointed archetypes in the history of time. Check out that fat 22 on LZ and the 25 on White Diabel. Add to that the fact that their partner in crime, Azamina, is a billion points, and it's clear why this deck has seemed unplayable since release. But shockingly, the White finds a way. Even without some of its best cards, it's seen success doing what it did on first release in the TCG, playing Toy Box and its associated bricks to recoup the loss of their own spell traps. The end result is a combo deck with a ton of flexibility, albeit an unbelievable main deck cost. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, some White Forests. We've got 3 Elves out of the White Forest, 2 Diabels of the White Witch, 2 Esteller of the White Forest, 1 Rusha, 1 Diabelstar Vengeance, and then our toy cards, 1 Tank and 1 Toy Soldier. For spells, we're on 2 Philia Diabel, 2 Piri Rice Map, 2 Tales of the White Forest, 1 Scourge, 1 Sinful Spoils, 1 Sorceress, and 3 Toy Box. For traps, we are on Curse of Diabel, Sinful Spoils of Slumber Morian, and Woes of the White Forest. I'll admit, the first thing Scarlon did when she got this deck was take out the additional traps. For pointed cards, we are on LZ, Azamina of the White Forest, and Effect Veiler, Triple Sylvie of the White Forest, pointed at 5, Triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Triple Book of Eclipse, Cosmic Cyclones, and DD Crows. In the extra, we are on an Azamina Moa Regina, Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, Magistus Choroso, Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, Changing, Draco Berserker of the Tenyi as a pretty good 8, Visas Amritara for a sideboard plan going first, Coral Dragon, Reclea, Silvera, Immortal Dragon for a sideboard plan, Poplar of the White Forest, Zapper Shrimp, Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, and the 25-pointed Diabel Queen of the White Forest. In the side, we've got the freebies, Gamciel, Artifact Lancia, Illusion Gate. Then we're playing 1 copy of Necro World Banshee, a Twin Twister and a Zombie World, and then an Azamina Aphis, a Sinful Spoils Silvera, and a Manadium Reframing, which gets so much better out of the board. So with that, let's check out a game. Our match is up against... Okay, I'll just cop to the fact that it's not me playing this White Forest deck. I wasn't able to get the combos down in time, so I asked Scarlon, who was happy to oblige, in exchange for some frustrating collabs later on down the line. Wouldn't be an MBT video if I wasn't profiting off the work of women. Well, I'm at least a part of this equation. I'm going to be playing the Pumpkin Goblin Biker deck that I thought was so cool. Let's see if she can beat it. She's going to begin with a copy of Piri Rice Map for an Esteller afterwards. We're going to go ahead and go for the Sylvie effect, using its effect in order to grab from deck to hand a Tales of the White Forest. If you're excited to see Tales activate, you'll have to wait a little bit because first up is LZ into Reclea, sending the Tales and grabbing a Morian. That will resolve the effect of the Reclea for an LZ of the White Forest and trigger the effect of the Tales in graveyard to reset itself. Next, we are going to go for the effect of the LZ of the White Forest, sending a copy of Woes of the White Forest and grabbing a Diabelstar White, while triggering the effect of the Woes of the White Forest to reset it to our side of the field. Next up is Diabelstar White, setting the Tales once again on our way through Curse of Diabel, which will grab a Philia Diabel. Later on down the line will turn into a Vengeance. Afterwards, we will Synchro Summon a copy of Diabel, cycle back this Tales, then finally activate Philia Diabel for a Vengeance, and Tales for a copy of Rusha. Woof. Okay, so down comes Rusha. Its effect will activate. We're going to go ahead and send the Morian, whose graveyard effect hasn't triggered yet, so we can reset it. We draw Sylvie, and then afterwards we'll go for a Vengeance, set a Cosmic Cyclone, and pass. This is more than enough points of interaction. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Goblin Bikers Gone Wild for Goblin Zombie, then they're going to Link Row summon a copy of Chaos Angel. It'll trigger, we'll activate the effect of Diabell and the effect of Sylvie, and they'll activate the effect of DD Crow in order to contest it. We'll go Poplar, but we don't get back our Sylvie as they get Snakehair. They'll go to the battle phase in order to try and stop us from getting to the Poplar Formula Synchron effect, but the Morian checks that. Afterwards, they'll go for Stare the Snakehair for Vortex of Time, and after that, of course, they can go ahead and set the field spell, which is easy pickings for Diabell Star Vengeance. We'll bring out Silvera in the process. They'll set 2, and then at end of main, we'll go into a copy of Snake Eyes Vengeance. We'll use Woes to bring out LZ, and then we'll Synchro Summon a Diabell in main phase 2, activating its effect to get fuel for next turn as they pass. We should just be able to clean up from here, courtesy of the Cosmic Cyclone, targeting the Call of the Haunted. We will chain the effect of Diabell to get a Coral Dragon, and they will be able to cycle this copy of Goblin Zombie, but do nothing with it. We'll activate the effect of the Coral Dragon, targeting the last Unknown, and then the Diabell Star Vengeance, getting in for lethal. So that's how the deck performs on the play, but what does it do on the draw? Well, considerably less. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Swen and then follow it up with a copy of Tour Guide of the Underworld. That will summon a Mean Merciless from deck, and I'm looking at a grip with no non-engine and just kind of shaking my head at this point. Down comes Big Gabonga for a Doug Charger. Doug Charger will be able to detach from the Big Gabonga to summon itself to our side of the field and then activate the effect in order to grab a copy of Goblin Biker Grand Bash. Afterwards, they can overlay for a copy of Xyz Armor Torpedo, activate the effect to draw a card, then overlay for an Xyz Armor Fortress to grab a copy of Full Armored Xyz. Next up, they can slam down this copy of Grand Bash for an extra normal here for the Clatter Sploder, bring back this copy of Doug Charger, then modulate them both to 6 on the way to Crazy Beast. Finally, it is time for the zombie part of the deck. Set a Call the Haunted, pitch Pumpkin, use the Call the Haunted to bring back Pumpkin effect to summon a copy of Stare the Snakehair, and then overlay for a copy of Pumpkin the Great Ghost King, who can bounce the entire back row back, so it can't be interacted with. Finally, they will just go ahead and set this Call of the Forgotten, not activating the effect, so the Xyz is still on, and then overlaying for an Undying Legion before passing, attaching a big-ass, fuck-ass Goblin Bikers at end step. Vengeance is a rough draw. We're going to go for Toy Box here. We'll activate the effect. That gets sucked up by Crazy Beast. We'll go for LZ next, pitching a Curse of the Diabell. That at least activates Curse of the Diabell, but Philia Diabell is a lot less good when we already have Vengeance and Grip. Okay, well, at least next we can go for the Philia Diabell, get a White Witch, and then after that we can just commit to this copy of Sylvie. We'll activate the Sylvie, and they let it resolve, so I guess we made it to open game state. Let's try and book the board. They will go Undying Legion to take it. We'll chain Sinful Spoils, and that gets us a copy of our Moa Regina, but they can pop it courtesy of their Call of the Forgotten. Okay, they're going to get back into the game courtesy of Pumpkin, but we can still go for Diabells here, pitching this copy of Tails. They're going to go for Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. We reset Tails, and then they'll MST the Tails they searched off the Swen. Okay, at least we can bring out the Vengeance and go to the battle phase, walking over this Undying Legion. But then, unfortunately, though we get to clear a lot of the board, courtesy of our Sylvie, they can use this copy of Full Armored Xyz to make Zeus in response to the pop, getting it online on their way to Vengeance. We'll bring back Clatter Sploder off of the Zeus activation, off of the Vengeance target, into Doug Charger, into follow-up, and I think we're just totally cooked here. There's not too much we can do with the board of Vengeance and nothing else. They're going to flip up a copy of Big Gabonga and Dark Knight Lancer. They'll equip, use Dark Knight Lancer to take, go for Ghost Trick Alucard, and get in for lethal. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and well, the grip looks good. Let's just hope they don't have too many ways to interact with it. We're going to begin with a copy of Toy Box. We haven't gotten to do this start yet. We'll set a copy of both Toy Tank and Toy Soldier, activate the effect of the Esteller, sending Toy Soldier for Sylvie, trigger the effect of the Sylvie and the effect of the Toy Soldier, summoning it back and grabbing a copy of Azamina Aphis. After this, we're going to go ahead and activate the effect of the Toy Soldier for a Toy Box, just more stuff to pitch, and then Synchro summon a copy of Reclea. We'll send the Toy Tank on our way to our powerful pointed monster, then trigger the effect of the Toy Tank to bring it back on our way through LZ. We'll go for the effect of Rusha, activate its effect, setting the Toy Box, and going into Diabell here in order to cycle a card back. We'll grab a Silvera, which of course we have boarded into as part of our going first plan, into activating another Toy Box and Vsauce Amritara to grab a copy of Manadium Reframing to beat the powerful Breakers out of the board. We will cycle back this copy of Rusha, then go for Tails. After that, of course, we can activate the effect of our LZ in Grip, grab ourselves a copy of Diabell's White, and then activate the effect of our yet-to-be-activated Azamina Aphis and our Esteller. color. We'll make Coral Dragon, then afterwards we'll be able to synchro off for a Draco Berserker into the Diabels, into the activated effect of our Curse of Diabel into Philia Diabel, which can then transfer for the last piece of the puzzle, a Diabel Star Vengeance. We'll activate Toy Box once again, set 2, summon out Diabel Star Vengeance, and set the fusion spell as well. Our opponent's going to draw, activate this Illusion Gate, and realize that while Diabels is on the field, nothing can be destroyed. It's going to do nothing but take 4,000 life points from them. We'll negate the Pumpkin, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So we're back with the deck, and woof. Thank goodness there's mid-range in this format, because if that back and forth was all that Genesys had to offer, we might as well just flip coins. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The end board does just win the game on the spot. Almost nothing beats the full setup, and it's so layered that the board breakers in Genesys really can't touch it. 2. You can pivot. Out of the board, you can make the Necro Banshee board to be Monarch or set up reframing for sideboard plans. And 3. On the topic of the sideboard, you find it. The few cards that incidentally draw you make it all but impossible to miss your silver bullets. And the cons. 1. Di-Fi. God, I hate that this card is legal, and honestly, it's probably on the way out, but it's a mess for this deck for pretty obvious reasons. 2. You kinda eat some hate in the board that is meant for KT. Cards like Soundproofed, for instance, are a problem, and even though you can do other stuff, you really don't want to. And 3. God, this deck is a cutscene. All in all, this deck's exceptionally good, especially for sick freaks who like goldfishing.